I got an 820 on my SAT, which is so low. My wife doesn't know that. No one knows that. I don't talk to people about that. And it's not that I choose not to talk about it. It's just that I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me. And that being said, it really prohibited me from going to a 4-year school, which was a godsend, because if I went to school, I would be completely screwed. Let me back up from the beginning. So I went to 5 different high schools. I transferred to a bunch of different high schools, and there were 5 fresh high schools. So I was transferring a lot in between, and it was just because my upbringing was like just a little bit different. And that being said, I never ever finished a full year without transferring. So I never went through a full lesson plan. So what happened, I got to senior year, I took my SAT and bombed, like absolutely bombed. It was embarrassing. My dad told my uncle my score, and he said, "Your son's not college material," which is interesting now because no one that I know that's tremendously successful went to college. A lot of my friends are entrepreneurs. They have their side business or businesses, and they're doing extremely well. Whereas the people that I know that went to college are working so hard. They're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, and they're always stressed out. They're always stressed out. They're living in fear. And I think the reason being is because there's such demand for those jobs, and people will work harder, they'll work smarter, and they'll probably work for less. Their bosses know that, and they can easily replace any of these employees. You know, the business world as a whole changed dramatically the last 20 years, I want to say. The first commercial email went out in 1990. So right after that, like 2000, 2002, we had that tech bubble, then it collapsed. But then after that, tech started taking over, and now we're at a place where it's so easy to run a multi-billion dollar business online tech-wise, whereas you're not going to run a multi-billion dollar business brick and mortar. Look at Sears closing down. Look at Forever 21. Look at all these big chains shutting down. The mom and pops are threatened. These small businesses are threatened. I mean, for example, I went to order food from Whole Foods. This was a couple days ago. I went to order food at Whole Foods, and this was 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Ordered breakfast, like bacon and eggs and everything I ordered. The next morning I opened the door, and the bag is sitting against the door. Think about that. How does ShopRite, how does Vons, how do all these companies compete with that? You don't compete with that. And that's what I think ultimately is happening. There's going to be a huge transition of power. The middle class, most of which is college educated people, are going to be very vulnerable to what's going to happen. They're sitting in loads of debt. I'm talking $1.5 trillion in debt. And what this does to them is every single month, if you owe 100 grand, every month you might be paying $1,300, $1,400 a month just in student loan payments. Just in student loan payments, which is crazy. So you're paying this payment, and then you go to qualify for a house. So what does the mortgage lender tell you? Oh, your debt to income doesn't pencil out for this deal. You have to buy, your price point is lower, or you can't qualify. So you end up working so hard to try to pay off these loans. And during that period, property values just skyrocketing like that. They're just picking up the whole time. Then by the time these loans are paid off, you can't afford a property. You can't afford them. So what I'm seeing is going to happen is college educated people are going to feel the pinch. The middle class is going to disappear for sure in the next, I think, 10 years. Next 10 years, you're already seeing the big pinch in retail and the mom and pop businesses. And you're also seeing the power that's happening with Amazon and Google and Facebook, and what they're going to do next, which is just going to absolutely crush mid-sized businesses, is Facebook is going to continue to increase ad cost to where the small guy can't compete. You can't compete with the Coca-Cola. You can't compete with these multi-billion dollar brands. And who ends up getting the ads? It's the highest paying consumer is going to win. And that's going to happen, I think, like in the next 2 to 4 years, is the small guy is going to really get hurt. So what I'm suggesting is, if you're thinking about going to college, write down on a piece of paper how much money you project to make having this degree. Then ask yourself how much money you're going to lose not working for 4 to 8 years, and then what would be the discrepancy in income? What would be that discrepancy? Would you make $50,000 here having not went to college and $75,000 going to college? If that's the case, that is a wash. It's the same money. Making $50,000 is almost the same as making $70,000 because with modern day inflation, everything's so damn expensive. I believe $250,000 today is what $100,000 was 10 years ago. Think about how expensive it is if you live in a coastal city. Talking Los Angeles, New York City, you live in Miami. You're talking $3,000 easy on just like a okay, decent 1-bedroom apartment. That's $3,000. The normal debt to income ratio that a mortgage lender looks for is 3 times gross income. So if you have a $2,000 mortgage payment, you should be making $6,000 a month. And $3,000, you're making over $100,000 a year just to qualify for a $3,000 apartment. Engineers are making $80,000. So the whole system is just kind of rigged to, it just doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. If you're going to go to school, you need to hit that $200,000 threshold, which is mainly math and science degrees are the only careers that could possibly lead you into that type of field. But if I were 20, if I were starting over, I would really, really spend a ton of money on my education and get an education from people that have done it. So if you want to learn about, say if you want to learn about coding, I would start reading about Bill Gates, about other people that are really specialized in that field. For $20, $50, you could probably read 4 or 5 different perspectives from different pros that have been doing it forever and change your thought process about it. And the same thing with real estate, same thing with stocks. All the information's out there. You just have to read, you have to study, you have to get that specialized knowledge and put yourself in a position to win. The more information you have, the more leverage you have to use that information to help more people. The more people that benefit, the higher the stack of cash is going to pile. That's just as easy as it is. College, my dad wanted me to be a dentist. He wanted me to be a dentist, and I'm so happy that I did not do that. You imagine going to school for 8 years, sitting on $150,000, $200,000 in loan, dealing with some crying kid because I have to give him a root canal, and then having back problems, being miserable at work. They have like one of the highest suicide rates. So just all that pain and torture to barely make ends meet. So really think about it, because the way that it's structured today too is if you graduate from school, you have $150,000 in student loans, you hate the career, you want to get out from under it, you can't file bankruptcy and get away from those loans. Isn't that kind of crazy? Everything else, you can get away from $200,000 in credit card debt, mortgages, you can get away from everything else except student loans. So they want that money strapped to your back no matter what. So you're paying it. So really, really educate yourself early on, especially if you're considering and contemplating going to school. If you're 18, think about it. Think about the new way the world works. It doesn't work the way that your mom and dad thought that it worked. You know, it's interesting. I had a conversation. I'm a real estate agent in Beverly Hills. I'm talking to the broker of this firm, and he wanted to not go to school. He wanted to do his own thing, and his dad said, doctor, lawyer, loser. So if you're not one of the 3, you're going to be a loser. One of the 2, you're going to be a loser. And so he said, I'm not doing that. I'm going to be a realtor. He became a realtor, became successful, opened up 1 location, 2 locations, 3. Now he has a bunch of locations. He just bought a property, just the land, for $11 million, and he's buying or building out this property. It's going to be probably a $25, $30 million house. But he thought for himself. He answered his own question. What am I really good at? How can I help people? And how can I grow wealth? And he saw real estate as a way. But he also saw that as one individual person, he's only capable of so much success. So the more people he can get under him to work, the more success he's ultimately going to have. Now he's not selling real estate, but I mean, if you have 1,000 people under you that are pushing your product, you're obviously going to be very, very successful. So it's all about thinking. It's all about thinking about learning from the right people, getting around the right people. And I highly suggest reconsidering going to school just because you don't want to fit in. You don't want to not fit in with people. Think about it. What's going to make me more money? What's going to be better for myself, my family, and what's ultimately going to give me more freedom to where I don't have to work underneath some boss's thumb and kind of deal with all of that stress and pressure. We're $1.5 trillion in student loan debt right now. So with all that said, if I was a young person right now, I'm talking like 15, 20, even 25, I would be asking myself, how can I build a big business online? And how can I grow tremendous wealth and success and help a lot of people online before the price of ad revenue skyrockets where you don't even have the option to run an online business? I think what's going to happen with Instagram and Facebook and all these platforms is they're going to remove all the reach for every single person to where it's flat, it's zero. If you want anything, if you want to advertise any business, you got to pay big money. And most people won't have the big money. The only people that have it are the people that either inherited the big money or the people that already have tremendous success where they can go invest the money into their brand, even if the price per sale doesn't contemplate and mix over with the price per click that they're paying. So if they're paying a lot of money in Facebook, 5 years ago, you could spend $1,000 and make $10,000. Now, most people are spending $1,000 to hopefully make $1,200 or $1,300 back. And eventually it's just going to continue that direction. So with all that said, think about the internet, think about how you can help people, and think about the long-term position you're going to put yourself in with student loans going through this college degree. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.